Welcome to the most trusted channel, The Old Coin Worth. We guide collectors and the coin lover. The rare coin that I will show you stand as incredible treasures of history, carrying hidden value that can instantly transform an ordinary collector into a millionaire. Hidden in pocket change are legendary wheat pennies, 1951D, 1952, 1956D, 1955, and 1958D. Coins so rare, valuable, and unique they've shattered records and rewritten collecting history. In this video, discover why certain eras, conditions, and mint-marks turn humble cents into million-dollar treasures, how ordinary collectors became millionaires, and what signs to check now. Because one tiny penny could change your life forever, starting today with expert tips and real auction stories worldwide. Imagine pulling a single penny from your pocket and discovering it's one of the most legendary era coins in history. The 1955 Lincoln cent, so famous that collectors dream about it for decades. An innocent 1-cent piece hiding dramatic doubling, jaw-dropping value, and the power to turn ordinary change into a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. The 1955 Lincoln Wheat cent is one of the most legendary, studied, and emotionally charged coins in the entire history of U.S. numismatics because it perfectly represents how an ordinary 1-cent coin can transform into a life-changing treasure when rarity, minting era, and collector demand collide. And understanding the full story of this coin is essential for any collector who wants real knowledge rather than internet hype. The coin was struck in 1955 at the Philadelphia Mint, which means it carries no mint mark beneath the date. And it was produced during a time of extremely heavy coin demand in post-World War II America, when pennies were needed in massive quantities for everyday commerce, resulting in a very large total mintage of more than 330 million coins, most of which are common and worth only a few cents today if circulated. But hidden within this production was one of the most famous minting mistakes ever released into circulation: the 1955 double die obverse. A dramatic error caused when the coin's obverse die received a misaligned second impression during the hubbing process, creating extremely strong doubling that is clearly visible to the naked eye on the date. 1955, the word, liberty, and the motto, "In God We Trust," making it one of the boldest double dies ever seen on a U.S. coin. Unlike many subtle double dies that require magnification and expert knowledge to identify, the 1955 double die obverse is so obvious that even beginners can recognize it instantly, which is a major reason why it has achieved almost mythical status among collectors and the general public alike. When the error was discovered, the mint chose not to recall the coins because many had already entered circulation, especially in cigarette vending machines and cash registers, which allowed thousands of examples to survive, though far fewer remain today in high grade. A genuine 1955 double die obverse cent is worth thousands of dollars even in worn condition, with heavily circulated examples often selling for $1,000 to $2,500. Mid-grade examples in extremely fine to about uncirculated condition bringing $3,000 to $7,000, and mint state examples commanding truly serious money, often ranging from $15,000 to over $50,000 depending on grade, eye appeal, and color designation, with top-grade red examples certified by major grading services reaching six-figure prices at auction. In contrast, a normal 1955 cent without doubling is extremely common, and its value depends mainly on condition, with circulated pieces worth 3 to 10 cents, uncirculated brown examples around $1 $3, red-brown examples in Mississippi 65 selling for $10 $25, and fully red Mississippi 66 coins reaching $40 $100, which highlights how knowledge separates priceless coins from pocket change. The obverse design features Victor D. Brenner's iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln, first introduced in 1909, while the reverse shows the classic wheat ears design used from 1909 through 1958, symbolizing American agricultural strength and prosperity. And the coin is composed of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, giving it a substantial copper content but not enough intrinsic value to matter compared to its numismatic worth. Collectors must be extremely cautious because the fame of the 1955 double die has led to countless counterfeits, altered coins, and machine-doubled fakes, where doubling appears flat, shelf-like, or inconsistent, unlike the rounded, raised, and clearly separated doubling of a true double die, which is why professional authentication and third-party grading are absolutely essential before buying or selling any suspected example. Beyond the famous double die, the 1955 cent also exists with minor errors such as repunch dates, die cracks, cuds, off-center strikes, clipped planchettes, and struck-through grease errors, some of which can bring hundreds or even thousands of dollars if dramatic and well-preserved, though none rival the value or fame of the double die obverse. Historically, the 1955 cent reflects a booming mid-century America, where pennies flowed freely through the economy, and the fact that one of the greatest mint eras ever escaped into circulation adds to its legend, inspiring generations of collectors to check their change in hopes of finding a hidden fortune. Preservation plays a critical role in value, and any cleaning, polishing, or chemical treatment can destroy tens of thousands of dollars in potential value instantly, which is why original surfaces, natural color, and certified holders are so important for serious collectors. In summary, the 1955 Lincoln Wheat cent is the ultimate example of why numismatics rewards education, patience, and careful observation. Because while millions of ordinary examples remain nearly worthless, the genuine 1955 double die obverse stands as one of the most powerful reminders in coin collecting history that a single small mistake at the mint can turn a 1-cent coin into a world-class treasure capable of changing a collector's life forever. The 1952 1-cent coin of the United States, officially known as the Lincoln Wheat Penny, is a fascinating and historically rich issue that sits at the crossroads of post-World War II America, the Korean War era, and the final years of the classic wheat year reverse design, making it especially interesting for collectors who appreciate both history and subtle rarity factors, because this coin was struck when the U.S. economy was transitioning from wartime production to consumer expansion, and copper demand was again rising, which directly affected cent production and quality. The 1952 cent features the iconic obverse portrait of Abraham Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner, first introduced in 1909 to commemorate Lincoln's 100th birth anniversary, showing Lincoln facing right with the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," above his head, "Liberty," to the left, and the date, 1952, to the right, while the reverse displays two wheat ears curving along the left and right edges, symbolizing agricultural prosperity, with 1 cent boldly in the center, United States of America, below it, and E pluribus unum, arched along the top. In 1952, cents were produced at 3 mints: Philadelphia, no mint mark; Denver, D, and San Francisco, S, and each has its own mintage levels and collector demand, with Philadelphia producing the highest number at over 186 million coins, Denver striking around 746 million pieces, making the 1952 D one of the most common wheat pennies ever minted, and San Francisco producing approximately 137 million coins, which makes the 1952 S slightly scarcer in higher grades but still generally affordable for most collectors. Composition-wise, the 1952 cent is made of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, weighs 3.11 grams, has a diameter of 19.05 millimeters, and a plain edge, and because of the high copper content, these coins are often sought after today not only for numismatic reasons but also for their intrinsic metal appeal, especially when found in well-preserved red or red-brown condition. Value of the 1952 penny depends heavily on condition and mid-mark, because in heavily circulated condition, such as good to fine, most examples are worth only a few cents to around 20 to 30 cents, while extremely fine pieces may bring 50 cents to $1, and uncirculated examples can range from $2 to $10 or more, with the real premiums appearing in high-grade mint state coins, especially those graded Mississippi 65 or higher by professional grading services, where a 1952S or well-struck 1952P with full original red luster can sell for $40 to $150 or even more depending on eye appeal and strike quality. One of the most exciting aspects of the 1952 cent for collectors is the possibility of errors and varieties, because while no famous double die like the legendary 1955 exists for this year, collectors have discovered repunched mint marks, RPMs, die cracks, off-center strikes, broad strikes, flipped planchettes, and minor doubled inscriptions, and these error coins can be worth anywhere from $20 to several $100 depending on rarity and severity. Die quality is also important, as many 1952 cents, especially from Denver, were struck in massive quantities, sometimes resulting in weak details, so sharply struck examples with full wheat lines and crisp lettering are particularly desirable. Historically, the 1952 wheat penny represents the closing chapter of the wheat series, as it was produced only 6 years before the reverse was changed in 1959 to the Lincoln Memorial design, meaning collectors often include the 1952 cent as part of a near-end-of-era set that captures the last breath of a classic American coin style that had circulated for half a century. From a collector strategy perspective, the 1952 penny is ideal for beginners because it is affordable, widely available, and teaches important grading skills, while for advanced collectors, the challenge lies in finding high-grade red examples, attractive toning, or scarce era varieties that stand out in competitive collections. In today's market, interest in wheat pennies continues to grow due to nostalgia, rising copper awareness, and strong online content around rare cents. And while the 1952 1-cent coin is not typically a million-dollar coin, its historical importance, copper composition, mint variety options, and potential for hidden errors make it a sleeper favorite that reminds collectors that true value in coin collecting is not always about extreme rarity but about condition, story, and the thrill of discovery hidden in what many people still see as ordinary pocket change. Unique 1-cent coin 1956D is one of the most fascinating Lincoln pennies ever studied by collectors, and its story becomes even more exciting when explored in a long, detailed, continuous paragraph that can attract every viewer on YouTube, because the 1956D penny, although mass-produced in the millions, hides within its mintage some extraordinary era varieties, dramatic minting imperfections, and ultra-rare high-grade survivors that have shocked the numismatic world with enormous auction prices, especially the famous 1956D DDO varieties, the bold RPM repunch mintmark errors where the D was punched more than once, creating a doubled or even tripled mintmark effect, and the highly sought-after off-center strikes, broad strikes, flipped planchettes, die caps, and fully separated die cracks that stretch across Lincoln's portrait like lightning, each transforming an ordinary cent into a rarity worth hundreds, thousands, or sometimes tens of thousands of dollars depending on its severity and grade. And collectors constantly search for strong doubling on Liberty, In God We Trust, and the date, as even minor doubling can increase value dramatically, while dramatic doubling can push the coin into record-breaking price ranges. The 1950-60 penny, struck at the Denver Mint, features the classic Victor David Brenner obverse with Lincoln's detailed profile and the Frank Gasparo reverse showing the wheat years that defined the wheat penny era from 1909 to 1958, making this coin one of the final wheat pennies ever minted, which increases its historical and collectible appeal because collectors love late series coins with potential errors. The composition consists of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, giving it a rich red-brown shine when preserved and a deep chocolate tone when aged, and collectors pay premium prices for perfectly preserved red road examples, especially those graded Mississippi 66, Mississippi 67, or the extremely rare MS 68, because the higher the grade, the rarer the coin becomes, with only a tiny handful of flawless gems surviving after decades of circulation and wear. While the regular 1950-60 penny may seem common, the rarest versions come from minting accidents, die deterioration states, repunch mint marks, double dies, rotated dies, and transitional errors that escape the mint unnoticed, making every surviving piece a potential treasure, since some examples have sold for jaw-dropping amounts due to their uniqueness and visual impact. Especially coins showing bold RPMs where the mint mark appears doubled far enough that even a beginner can see it with the naked eye, attracting massive interest in online auctions and numismatic communities. For YouTube audiences, the stunning part of the story is how a small copper coin worth 1 cent can transform into a life-changing discovery if someone finds the right era. Because many viewers love seeing before and after comparisons, high-resolution macro shots of doubling, dramatic die breaks looking like raised rivers, and deep-toned copper surfaces glowing under proper lighting, all of which captivate attention instantly. The market demand for rare 1950-60 eras grows every year as more collectors and online treasure hunters search through old jars, inherited boxes, and thrift store change lots hoping to discover one of these rare anomalies. And the most extreme eras, like 50% off center strikes with the full date visible, double-struck pieces where Lincoln appears twice, and die caps that form cone-shaped coins, can reach prices that astonish new collectors and create viral moments on social media. What makes the 1950-60 penny especially attractive for YouTube content is its mix of commonness and rarity. Billions were produced, but only a few extraordinary era pieces survived, giving the story a magical combination of relatability and mystery, appealing to viewers who love the idea that they, too, might find a valuable coin hiding in their pocket change. The coin also holds deep historical value as it was minted during a post-war era of economic growth, representing the power of the classic wheat penny design and the craftsmanship of mid-century U.S. minting. And this historical charm adds another layer of emotional and educational appeal that keeps audiences watching. Collectors also examine die polishing lines, flanchette imperfections, luster quality, and strike sharpness across Lincoln's hair, bow tie, and coat edges, because strong details mean the coin was produced early in the die's life, making it far more desirable. Rare varieties like RPM 001, RPM 002, and the 1956 DDDO have become legendary, with professional graders confirming their authenticity and boosting their values to extraordinary heights. And showcasing these varieties visually on YouTube instantly grabs attention due to their striking mid-mark distortions and crisp doubling. Because YouTube viewers love dramatic, surprising transformations, the 1950-60 penny becomes the perfect centerpiece for videos about rare coin discoveries, hidden treasures, millionaire-making finds, and shocking valuations, especially when combined with strong narration that explains how a tiny minting mistake over half a century ago can turn a common coin into an ultra-rare collectible. In conclusion, the rarest and most valuable 1950-60 1-cent coins are powerful symbols of numismatic excitement, historical beauty, minting mystery, and collector passion, and telling their story in a deep, continuous, richly detailed paragraph creates the perfect YouTube attracting content that fascinates viewers, holds their attention, and inspires them to check every coin they own in hopes of discovering the next great wheat penny treasure.
The 1951 Lincoln Wheat Cent is often surrounded by myths and exaggerated online claims, but when explained correctly it becomes a fascinating and educational coin for collectors because its real value depends entirely on condition, rarity of errors, and historical context rather than fantasy prices. And understanding this difference is what truly turns an ordinary collector into a smart numismatist who avoids costly mistakes and knows exactly what to look for. The coin was struck at the Denver Mint in 1951, indicated by the small d mint mark below the date on the obverse, during the post-World War II economic expansion when the U.S. Mint was producing massive quantities of coinage for everyday commerce, resulting in a very high mintage of over 625 million pieces, which means that standard circulated examples are extremely common and usually worth only a few cents above face value, typically ranging from 3 to 10 cents depending on where. The obverse features Victor D. Brenner's iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln, introduced in 1909, with the inscriptions, "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the date 1951, while the reverse displays the classic wheat ears design used from 1909 to 1958, symbolizing national prosperity and agricultural strength, making it one of the most beloved designs in American coin history. What elevates the 1951 D cent from ordinary to potentially valuable is condition, especially coins graded in mint state MS by professional grading services, as fully read, uncirculated examples with strong luster and no contact marks can command significantly higher prices, with MS65 red examples often selling for $20, $40 and superb MS67 red coins sometimes exceeding $150, $300 at auction due to their scarcity in top condition. However, the true dream pieces for collectors are rare varieties, because these are where four-figure values can realistically exist, including dramatic off-center strikes, broad strikes, clipped planchettes, and most importantly repunched mintmarks RPMs, where the D mintmark appears doubled or shifted due to manual punching, a known phenomenon of the era, and well-documented 1951 D RPM varieties can sell for $50 to several $100s depending on strength and condition. Another category of value lies in die errors such as die cracks, cuds, and retained cud breaks, which are popular among error collectors and can push prices into the $100, $500 range if the error is bold and visually striking. It is crucial to understand that there is no officially recognized 1951 D double die obverse comparable to famous varieties like the 1955 double die, so any claims of multi-million-dollar values or guaranteed fortunes are misleading and should be avoided, as seasoned collectors and professional graders rely on documented varieties listed in established references. The metal composition of the 1951 D cent is 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, giving it intrinsic value that fluctuates with copper prices, but this melt value alone does not make it rare or investment grade. Collectors seeking long-term value should focus on originality, full red color, sharp wheat lines, and strong Lincoln details, while avoiding cleaned or altered coins, as cleaning can destroy most of a coin's collectible premium instantly. From a historical perspective, the 1951 D cent represents everyday American life during the early Cold War era, a time when pennies were essential to commerce, and millions passed through the hands of workers, children, and families, which is why pristine survivors are far scarcer today than raw mintage numbers suggest. In summary, the 1951 D Lincoln Wheat cent is not a miracle coin that automatically makes someone rich, but it is a powerful example of how knowledge, grading, and error attribution can turn a common coin into a valuable collectible, and for collectors who learn to identify true mint errors, preserve coins properly, and rely on verified market data rather than viral exaggeration, this humble 1-cent piece becomes a genuine stepping stone toward building a serious and potentially profitable coin collection. The 1958 D Lincoln Wheat cent holds a special and emotionally powerful place in American numismatics because it represents the final year of the legendary wheat ear reverse design that began in 1909. Making it the closing chapter of nearly 50 years of U.S. coinage history, and for collectors who understand condition rarity, minting context, and true error varieties, this humble 1-cent coin becomes far more than pocket change. The coin was struck at the Denver Mint in 1958, identified by the D mint mark below the date on the obverse, during a period of extremely high coin production as the U.S. economy was booming and demand for small denomination coins was strong, resulting in a massive mintage of approximately 800 million pieces, which means that most circulated examples are very common and typically worth only 3 to 10 cents depending on where an eye appeal. The obverse features Victor D. Brenner's classic portrait of Abraham Lincoln with the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date 1958, while the reverse shows the iconic wheat ears framing the words, "1 cent," and "United States of America," a design that many collectors consider one of the most beautiful and nostalgic in U.S. coinage. Compositionally, the 1958 D cent is made of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, giving it a substantial copper content that provides a modest intrinsic value tied to copper prices but not enough on its own to make the coin rare or valuable. Where the 1958 D cent truly gains collector interest is in condition, especially uncirculated examples with original mint luster and strong red color. Because although hundreds of millions were struck, very few survived untouched after decades of circulation, storage, and improper cleaning, and as a result, mint state coins graded MS65 red typically sell in the $15–30 range. MS66 red examples can bring $40–80, and superb MS67 red coins, which are genuinely scarce, can exceed $200–400 at auction depending on eye appeal and certification. Error coins are the most exciting and potentially valuable category for the 1958 D cent, as Denver Mint production during this era produced a variety of collectible mistakes, including repunch mintmarks RPMs, where the D mintmark appears doubled or shifted due to manual punching, and these varieties are well documented and can sell from $30 to several $100 depending on clarity and grade. Additional error types such as off-center strikes, broad strikes, clipped planchettes, struck-through grease errors, die cracks, retained cuds, and dramatic cud breaks are highly sought after by specialists, with strong visual examples often bringing $100 to $1,000 or more for extreme errors. It is critically important for collectors to understand that there is no officially recognized 1958 D double die obverse comparable to famous varieties like the 1955 double die, and claims of guaranteed fortunes or million-dollar values attached to normal 1958 D cents are misleading and should be avoided, as professional numismatics relies on documented varieties, third-party grading, and real market data rather than viral hype. One famous and highly valuable coin associated with 1958 is the 1958 double die obverse cent, but that variety is a Philadelphia issue without a mint mark, not a Denver coin, and confusing the two is one of the most common mistakes new collectors make. Historically, the 1958 D cent is deeply symbolic because it marks the end of the wheat cent era, with the Lincoln Memorial reverse introduced in 1959, making many collectors seek high-quality examples of 1958 as a type coin to complete wheat cent collections, which helps support steady demand. Preservation is key to value, and collectors should never clean or polish a 1958 D cent, as cleaning destroys original surfaces and can reduce a potentially valuable mint state coin to near face value status instantly. Collectors looking for long-term value should focus on sharp strike detail, full wheat lines, blazing original red color, and certified examples from reputable grading services, while carefully examining raw coins for genuine mint errors rather than damage. In conclusion, the 1958 D Lincoln Wheat Cent is not a magical instant wealth coin, but it is a historically significant, widely collected, and condition-sensitive issue where knowledge truly creates opportunity, and for collectors who learn how to grade accurately, identify real mint errors, and separate facts from online exaggeration, this final year wheat cent can become an important and rewarding cornerstone of a serious coin collection.